Hello everyone and welcome back to Dungeons & Death Battles, the series where we search for the most lethal monster in all of Dungeons & Dragons. The rules are simple. The fight takes place in the arena, fighters start 30 feet apart, there is no fleeing the arena, and it's a victory by kill only. In this second season of Dungeons & Death Battles, 16 deadly dungeon denizens will be facing off against each other until we find the most barbaric of the bunch. In today's battle we have the brutal ogre, a dim-witted giant with a penchant for killing, eating, and killing again, facing off against the cunning cult fanatic, doubtless the inspirational figure that will do all it can to sway an audience to fall under its corrupting boot. And this really is going to be a battle of brawn versus wits, with the competitor Wayne showcasing just as much. The ogre of course has a heavy advantage in the majority of its physical stats, with 19 strength and 16 constitution, cementing this monster as a heavyweight brawler, designed to take a hit or three, all while swinging away with its humongous great club. And then of course on the other hand, the cult fanatic boasts far superior mental stats than the ogre, and should be able to use this to think their way around their opponent. Cult Fanatic also comes bundled with a handful of dangerous spells which should prove useful against the ogre in this fight. And so with all that said, it is time to roll in for initiative, and we will be kicking off with the ogre and its -1 modifier. So ogre rolling in, and that is a natural 20 for the ogre. This thing means business. It's been put in this arena for one reason, and that is to pummel the life out of its foes, and it looks like it's pretty keen to kick off and get started with doing so. And that does mean that the Cult Fanatic is left with a single option: roll high or go last. But let's see what it can do. And the Cult Fanatic has rolled in with an 8 plus 2 for 10, which unfortunately means that the ogre will be kicking things off in this combat. And barely a word shall leave my lips as the ogre begins to fly across the arena, using its 40 feet of movement to easily clear the gap between itself and the Cult Fanatic, where it will of course waste absolutely no time whatsoever in swinging through with a great club attack. And so ogre rolling in with a plus 6 to this, looking to be an AC of 13. And that is a 7 with plus 6, bringing that up to a flat 13, which does of course mean that the ogre's great club connects. And so that does mean we get to roll in 2d8 plus 4 points of bludgeoning damage, a brutal attack straight out the gate here from the ogre, and rolling in with a 6 and a 1 for 7 points of damage, plus that 4 there, totaling 11, which is a very solid hit, carving a third of the Cult Fanatic's hit points away in one fell swing right there. And the miserable creature stood in front of the ogre will have absolutely felt that, and will most certainly be wanting to avoid taking a hit like that again. And as we hand over to the Cult Fanatic, it will be using its first turn to cast the command spell at first level. Now as the command spell reads, you speak a one-word command to a creature you see within range. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or follow the command on its next turn. The spell has no effect if the target is undead, if it doesn't understand your language, or if your command is directly harmful to it. None of these apply to the ogre, which does speak just a slither of common. And the word on the Cult Fanatic's lips is none other than grovel, and it will be compelling the ogre to bow down to it on its next turn. And now due to the Cult Fanatic's spell save DC of 11, that is what the ogre is looking to beat. With a -2 to wisdom, let's see what it can do. So rolling in for the ogre here, and that is a 15. Even with that -2 making 13, it is going to pass. The Cult Fanatic looking up in sheer shock and horror as the dim-witted beast seemingly just blocks out this command. Perhaps the word grovel just hasn't made it into the ogre's repertoire just yet. And that is going to end the Cult Fanatic's turn, handing back over to the ogre, which has its mind on one thing and one thing only: making a blood puddle out of the Cult Fanatic. And so of course it will be swinging through once again with its great club. That plus 6 looking to beat an AC of 13. And an AC of 13 it shall be, with a 13 plus 6 making 19, as that second strike hurtles overhead, connecting well with the Cult Fanatic's ribs. And so once again we will be rolling in 2d8 plus 4 points of bludgeoning damage. And that could have been better, with a 1 and a 5 for 6, plus 4 for 10 points of damage, bringing the Cult Fanatic down to 12 hit points. And after that seemingly glancing hit, that does mean that the Cult Fanatic is still alive and in the game, and it will be doing its damnedest to try and get that command spell off against the ogre. And so once again, the ogre will be forced to make a DC 11 wisdom saving throw. Can it pull it off twice in a row? And with a 6 -2 for 4, it most certainly cannot. It seems as if the first casting of command simply jogged the ogre's memory, and that second was enough to make it understand what it is that it is required to do next. And with the word grovel on the tip of the Cult Fanatic's tongue, that does mean that the ogre will be spending its next turn going prone. And with that we do hand over to the ogre, which is of course now going to drop down to its knees and bow in front of the Cult Fanatic, who is no doubt breathing a minor sigh of relief as the hulking giant simply cowers down before it. And now that does end the ogre's turn, as we hand back over to the Cult Fanatic, which is going to use this opportunity to move 30 feet away from the ogre. And now even though the ogre is prone, it is still going to get an opportunity attack against the Cult Fanatic, albeit at a disadvantage. And so ogre rolling in this attack now, and that is a 10 plus 6, which is going to make 16. And even on disadvantage, the opportunity attack is successful. And so we will be once again rolling in that 2d8 plus 4 points of bludgeoning damage. Not exactly what the Cult Fanatic had in mind for this. So 2d8 coming in hot on the opportunity attack. And that is a 6 and a 2 for 8, plus 4 for 12 points of damage, which is going to hit dead on the Cult Fanatic's hit point total, taking it out of the match with an opportunity attack at disadvantage. Ogre likely just able to swing its club out there and catch the Cult Fanatic in a soft spot, possibly even just beheading its opponent, cementing its spot in the quarterfinal round, having not taken a single point of damage. The Cult Fanatic simply remaining as a blood smear on the floor of the arena, joining countless competitors before it. But with all that said, that does mean that the Ogre will be advancing through to the quarterfinal round, where it will be facing off against the Allosaurus in a future battle. And now with this battle, that does mean that we have concluded the qualifying rounds in the Dungeons and Death Battles CR2 Wormling League, which does mean that we will be diving into the quarterfinals for the next battle, starting off with the Yuan Ti Broodguard facing off against the Intellect Devourer. And as always, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please consider dropping a like, commenting down below, and subscribing to the channel. We do, of course, also have a Patreon, which has both free and paid tiers, so it'd be great to see you over there as well.